I feel, pendulum swinging the other way, that there are 4 properties right now, the condominium buildings, where the residential owners in that building have done nothing to invite another layer of regulation upon them. These buildings are designed to be self-policed. It's painted in a way that the problems are very benign and the solutions are very benign. And that's not always the case, and we can't predict that. Frankly, an example comes to mind of what if it is a limited common element in the building. Landlord wants to fix it, tenant gets impatient, or, let's face it, just like all landlords aren't beautiful people, all tenants aren't beautiful people, and decides to handle it in a less than correct or less than professional or less than civil manner, and decides to drag the landlord and the condo association and anybody else they can into the mess and use the village as its tool to do so. Okay? I don't think it's fair or right when that landlord has done nothing wrong for the problem that's existing in that commercial condo to fine him. What if the landlord immediately, as I would, either takes it upon himself to remedy the problem, or if it's a common element, goes to the condo board immediately and says, hey, we have to fix this right away. And it's a limited common element like a patio door. And the patio door needs replacement. And that limited common element is owned by a specific unit owner who says, well, I'm in Florida, I don't want it replaced while I'm not there, or some other way acts recalcitrantly and says, hey, I can't abide you replacing my patio door in a timely way, or I'm just dead set against it. It's not an issue of trusting Mike or Kathy or anyone else. If there's a code written that they have to uphold, then they have to uphold it. And if the code says you have to fine this landlord, even though everybody universally agrees, what did he do wrong or what did she do wrong? Nothing. They even went to the condo association, tried to effect a change in this situation because they care about their tenant. They treat their tenant well. They want to keep their tenant's business. You're going to just keep fining them and then eventually have it go to court? That is one issue with these buildings. And I say it is all 4. It's not just the 2, because the other 2 buildings have cost-sharing agreements. You have a letter from Ed Lyman, who's the president of the 812 Oak Condo Association, where he says, we're in the same boat as Galleria and the condominiums on Merrill and Gage. Okay? You should have that letter anyhow. So I don't buy that, hey, say, oh, it's 4 buildings, you're creating a privileged class. No. You have people, residents, in those buildings who could be your parents, who could be you, who could be anybody that just decided to buy in these buildings instead of buying in the Muse or one of the other buildings not in the commercial district. And what did they do wrong to get dragged through this? Okay? So the bottom line for me is this will affect residents one way or the other. It'll affect them adversely. The residents in my building feel this way. I feel I proposed very reasonable ways and very easy to record and administrate ways to carve these out, which is we talk about paint in, we talk about floor up, we talk about ceiling down. That's the extent of the jurisdiction over commercial condos. That's it. If you don't want to modify the code that way, I'm asking you not to take your toys and go home. I'm saying fine. If you can't find a way to split the baby because you are affecting residents' lives, then just exempt the 4 buildings. That's today. We want people to come and develop a 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th building. We don't want any deterrent for people to buy in those additional buildings that may or not be built. We don't want to create a disincentive for developers to build them or for residents to buy in those buildings. So again, I just feel like if you can't find a way to change the language of this, please go ahead and exempt these 4 buildings. They're not a privileged class. They're buildings filled with empty nesters who are living on fixed incomes. Most of them are, fairly well-to-do, but they're still on fixed incomes, and they didn't do anything to invite this on themselves. And it could cause real problems for them. It really could. If you have the wrong tenant, you really could have that problem. So I'm asking you in earnest, in good faith, please exempt these 4 buildings and any future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, anyone else?